Celtic win out in a 5-goal thriller at Aberdeen in a true game of two halves. Tino, I got to watch the game from the comfort of my sofa. How was it for you up at chilly Pittodrie, and just how big a win is that in the context of this title race?
It was bedlam. There was bodies everywhere, but good atmosphere. You know, as you say, game of two halves, but it was definitely just such an important one. And it's so important to get over the line there. We've had a tough run of fixtures, culminating in that tonight. We get a wee bit of a break now at the weekend at Wraith. So, yeah, just so important, particularly with Rangers winning at home. So, yeah.
Yeah. So a couple of changes in the lineup. I'll go through that first of all, just to go through those details. So, started out, Hart in goals, Ralston right back, Carter Vickers and Starksfeld centre half, Taylor left back, Callamack in the middle, O'Reilly and Hatate making up the midfield, and Abada, Jota and Maeda making up the front three. Any surprises in there for you?
Well, the Ralston thing at first, so we put out a tweet pre-match suggesting that Juranovic would get the nod, but it seems he's maybe picked up a knock actually in the Rangers game, and he's maybe tried to shake it off there in the Motherwell game. So it seems he's struggling, but we've not heard anything official from Ange on that, or I've not. I don't know if you've picked up on anything. O'Reilly coming in for Roderick, fine. You know, they two will vie for possession and keep each other fresh. I did think Maeda would start, and lo and behold, he got the nod. So no huge surprises. You expect Ange to use his squad at this moment in time, and that's what he's done.
Yeah. Obviously, we got to see Giakoumakis later in the game. What do you think of the contributions of both those strikers?
So I don't want to labour on Maeda too much tonight. You know, it's a big win for Celtic. It's a huge night, and we're all in good spirits. But he wasn't. I was going to say he wasn't at his best. Obviously, we've not seen him at his best, so we don't know exactly what that looks like. But he wasn't quite at the races. I don't think he had a great game, and I think Giakoumakis came on at a time when you're looking for him to just rustle up defenders and keep them busy and see out the wins. So yeah, the two of them, I think, you know, and it's an early call, but they're nothing like, you know, the striker that Kyogo is, and you know, really hopeful that he'll be back before too long. But you know, they'll both do jobs in different ways, and both played very different kind of roles tonight.
Yeah, very much so. On the game itself, I thought the first 15 minutes was not flat, but quite balanced. Not a lot of clear-cut stuff. Aberdeen seemed to be well set out and sticking to their discipline. What was your take on the early exchanges there?
I just thought overall, you know, first half, generally speaking, Celtic were well in control, you know, over the piece. Joe Hart had, you know, very little to do. Effectively, you know, easy street, very dominant performance. You know, obviously we got it to 2-0, and you were asking the question, is it going to be 3-0 again at half-time, like it's been the last two games there? But you go in at half-time and you're thinking, this is as easy as it's felt up at Pittodrie in a long, long time. Obviously, that's all changed very, very quickly. But, you know, talking to the guys that, you know, were with us there, it was very, very comfortable first half.
Yeah, it seemed to be. So, just 17 minutes in, we're 1-0 up. O'Reilly gets himself into good position, and it's a really clever cross. It's a teasing cross between goalie and defender into the box. So, take us from there.
Yeah, it's a nightmare for goalies, that. So, you know, I've watched it back a couple of times since coming out, and it's just in that zone where a keeper doesn't know whether to stick or twist. He's done neither. I think it's caused a bit of confusion with Ramsey, the fullback, and Jota has just gambled like all good front men should. And it's got us off to a really decent start. So yeah, I've got it around about 16 minutes, and it's, you know, it was the right reward for Celtic's, you know, efforts at that point. But it just allows you to relax and calm down and settle your way into the game.
Yeah, and as we've shown the last few weeks, the last few games anyway, when we score a goal, we like to score another goal, you know, right behind it. So 20 minutes. And it's O'Reilly getting off the mark. He mentioned in his post-match interview, actually, he was glad to get that. He called it kind of a monkey off his back, which it clearly wasn't. But he wanted to get on the score sheet, and he really did that. How was that for you?
Good. I mean, he obviously had that big chance against, who was it?
United.
Yeah, where James Forrest cut across to him, and he's passed that by the post at Celtic Park. He'll have been keen to get his goal. You know, all his kind of fellow midfielders and front men are getting in amongst the goals at this moment in time. So, yeah, he'll have been glad to get his first, albeit he was a bit, you know, fortunate with it, taking the deflection. But I thought he caught it well enough. I thought he'd done well to get his head over it and keep a low effort on goal. And it'll mean a lot to him. I've not seen any of his post-match. I presume he was as articulate as always.
Articulate and beautiful, I think they're the words you're looking for.
Wonderful guy, good representative of the club. So, yeah, pleased for him, and that'll do his confidence a world of good.
Yeah, indeed. So, 2 up and well in control. Jota had the ball in the net just before the end of the first half.
Yes.
So, I'll take your take on it first, and I'll give you mine, which with the benefit of replays and things like that. How was it live?
Yeah, I mean, I've got a note to ask you because from where we seen there was nothing much wrong with it. I don't know if there was any suggestion of offside, but he's just been stronger than the guy. The guy's taking a tumble and claimed for the foul. I just thought Jota was strong and he's tucked away. I didn't see much wrong with it at all, to be honest with you. So I don't know. You can maybe tell us better from the TV replays.
Yeah, so from first and foremost, he's onside. The commentary said he was being flagged for offside. So if it is that, then they've got that wrong. There was no foul on Ramsey. He's just stronger. He's got more desire to get the ball. And there was a suggestion maybe it rolled off his arm, which it didn't come off his shoulder. So it's a legitimate goal that was chalked off. And, we'll not complain too much about it. But, it's still poor refereeing. VAR sorts that right out.
Yeah, and, at the time you weren't moaning too much because we were 2-0 up and cruising and there was no concerns. That could have come back to bite us. Had we finished 2 each, we'd have been having a very different chat at this moment in time. Interesting stats for you. I know you're keen on some stats. So apparently, I need to double check, but apparently we've now scored 35 first half goals versus 22 in the second half. So 57 goals in total. We're very much a first half team, whereas most teams, again, we need to check, but I think tend to score later on and, in the final 15, 20 minutes. So interestingly, we tend to get our goals early bells. And we've seen that, and there's obviously this kind of suggestion that Ange's team go out and blitz the first half and they're far less effective second half. I suppose you could say, we lost the second half 2-1 tonight, so you could argue that's the case at the moment.
Yeah, and Ange said after it was a good game to learn things from as well. He said, there's areas we've got to improve on and we can see them tonight and, we'll take that into the training ground and work on things. Basically, it wasn't in any way despondent. It's a tough place to go. They've gone and got the win, and they've got some things they can be doing better from that as well.
Yeah, and you'll never be upset coming away with 3 points at Pittodrie. So the most important thing was to go over the line. If anything, it might give the players just a wee, jolt in terms of any complacency that may have set in. And I don't feel that's the case with this team, but they've had a couple of easy wins there, eh? Easy win against Rangers, comfy win against Motherwell. They might be getting a wee bit, beyond themselves, but that's maybe just a wee sharp reminder that you're going to have some tough tests. We've got a dozen games to go league-wise here, and I'm thinking and hoping that Ange sets them out to say, listen, this is 12 Cup finals. We got a wee fright tonight, not a huge fright. I think, by the time the whistle went, we were still pretty comfy in the game overall, but yeah, it just keeps them on their toes and keeps them sharp for all the games ahead.
Yeah. As you mentioned earlier on, we've got a kind of a mini break of sorts away from league duty here, just with the Cup and then away in Europe. But if you look at the games, it's been Hibs, Hearts, Rangers, Motherwell, Aberdeen, since we come back after the break. That's 5 tough fixtures. I know Aberdeen have dropped, but typically top 6 teams, 15 points, and including Tynecastle and Pittodrie midweek away games, notoriously difficult. So certainly got to look back in those 5 games now. They've got a wee chance to kind of catch their breath and say, well, we're heading in the right direction, surely.
100%. I think Dundee United into the mix there in terms of those games. Okay. But yeah, the toughest fixtures in the calendar. You're away to Tynecastle, you're at Pittodrie tonight, you've played against Rangers, your nearest rivals. Lots of really tough games, and we've spoke ourselves in our show and spoke to the guys at 67 Hale and otherwise. And the suggestion was if we could get through this run of fixtures unscathed, you're in a serious position to challenge. We've done that, 100% record, 100% in 2022, all these good things. And I think just the chance to get to the weekend and Wraith Rovers, a different type of challenge, and then it's Bodo Glimt again next week. But just a chance to reset and just press not the pause button, but just to kind of reflect on what the players have done, catch their breath a wee bit, maybe rotate the squad on Sunday against Wraith Rovers, and then just get themselves energised and ready for the next run-in.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what we'll be doing. So on the game itself, the second half, I mean, the team talk, and I would imagine it's been a mixture of Stephen Glass and Scott Brown, given that team talk to fire them up. Yeah. Getting some changes with Ojo for McGeoch and Kennedy for Ramsey. Had an effect, didn't it?
Yeah, I thought Kennedy was good. I thought actually in the second half, coming down that right-hand side, Matt Kennedy was, quite a problem for Greg Taylor at times. I also thought McCrory on the right-hand side was getting yards. I think Jota looks a wee bit tired just now, still and a wee bit off the pace. And defensively, I thought he get caught short a wee bit. So they were getting changed down the right-hand side. And yeah, there's no doubt it gave them a lift across the board. You've seen that. It's interesting, the last 3 games now. So Rangers made 3 subs at half-time. Motherwell done the same at the weekend. Aberdeen have made 2 tonight. But teams are struggling to deal with this, certainly in terms of how we come out the traps and what we do in the first half of games, and are trying their best to combat that. Aberdeen have, obviously made a dent in that in terms of how they approach the second half. They are, fighting for their lives isn't the right term, but fighting for their top 6 status and fighting for Stephen Glass's job. He's under pressure. He was brought in, with high hopes this summer, made some big signings. Some have worked out, some haven't. And they've scrapped for him, but I think ultimately they've fallen a bit short. They've not had the quality in the end up.
Yeah, but, no, this is an Aberdeen fans podcast. I think they'll be happy that they fought in the second half. See if they'd gone out and ran, out 4-0 losers, then it's a different situation from going out and fighting for a kind of nervy 3-2 loss. So I think they'll get a bit of credit for that.
They will do. I mean, there was boos ringing out at half-time from the Aberdeen fans, so they'll appreciate. At least that team gave them a cheer. They got them in it and they got them at 2 each, and made them think at some stage, albeit only for about 60 seconds, that they were back in the game. But they did fight well for the team. I didn't feel, getting into the last 5 minutes plus injury time, that they were absolutely, knocking the door for a goal. We weren't under intense pressure, but they gave it a decent go. But yeah, they fell short in the end up. Yeah,
I marked somewhere in my notes where they stopped pressing. They seemed a bit spent in about 75 minutes or so. So, and they put everything into it. On the goals themselves, we got a warning. Ramirez went close, 57 minutes here, an offside goal, but good chance in 53 minutes, and he just couldn't get his head quite on it. And then 2 minutes later, they pulled a goal back. How did that look for you?
The free kick in the first place is a funny one, because I thought Aberdeen, I think it came off a hand potentially, but their strikers got his shot away, and Collins played an interest. You play the advantage, the striker gets his shot. If he's getting his shot away, that's him had his advantage, but Collins chose or saw fit to pull it back. In terms of the free kick itself, it's poor by Celtic. Ramirez he's the number 9, he's a big target. I don't know who was on him, maybe you caught this closer, whether it was Starfelt or Vickers, but somebody's job is to pick him up, and he has it all the time. Spoke with the guys here, it seemed like it went in slow motion. He had so much time from making that run across the roundabout parallel with the penalty spot, and he's had loads of time just to pick his spot. So from a Celtic point of view, it's very poor and it's pretty disappointing.
There's zonal marking, and the only piece of mitigation you could give was that Scott Brown likes to do it at corners. He gets up to nonsense and mischief. So he was physically holding. Starfelt's trying to get out to Ramirez. He tried to close him down, and Brown's physically holding him back, and the referee's just let it go. It's one of those in a box. Wash your body. So
nonsense and mischief, Bruni.
Both.
Absolutely good. So maybe so. So from our point of view, just quite near that in terms of where you're situated at Pittodrie. Hard to see, but it was puzzling as to how he gets so much space in the box. Maybe that's that's a ploy from Aberdeen. Interesting. I'm sure they were upset about ultimately the winning goal, where perhaps Abada was blocking a guy, perhaps not, up for debate. But it's certainly a ploy they've used to their advantage, particularly with that free kick. So some you get, some you don't.
You share that defence with the luminary that is Tom Boyd. So take
TB. That. Impartial Tom.
Impartial Tom. So then they've got one back. Ramirez is the offside goal. It was well offside, so no complaints there. Yeah. But then kind of slack again. Celtic defending zonally. The free kick in, and Ferguson's got pretty much a clear header on it.
Yeah, I thought the delivery was excellent. So that's right in front of us, and I just thought it was whipped in with real pace. I think it was Ojo that took both of the free kicks, if I've picked that up correctly. It's just going into a really dangerous area, so I'm not sure. Again, that's what happens very fast. I'm not sure the movement, and again, who was on Ferguson. He's caught it well. It's a decent header, and he's doing well to beat a heart from that range. But again, just that then results in us having lost 2 set-piece goals, and that's disappointing. And we've lost a number of set-pieces again this season so far. So, listen, maybe something to work on. Sometimes you can credit a team with scoring a good goal against you, but I think we can do better there.
Yeah, I felt it was a feature, a slack feature of our game early in the season that they seemed to work on and resolve, but it's crept back in there. So that's something.
Yeah, and it's
training ground.
Yeah, and again, maybe just a wake-up call. Complacency maybe setting at one point, and certainly 2-0. If the players were anything like the fans, you felt you're very comfy in the game and it was only going to extend. Asked the guys what they thought it was going to be at half-time, 3-0, 4-0, that kind of chat. Nobody predicted 3-2. So yeah, the players have got a duty there to stay on their toes at all times.
Yeah. So it's 2 each at this point. Half an hour to go. Away to Pittodrie Wednesday night. It could have been a really, really tough slog there, but it's only a minute, and Jota's got the ball in the back of the net. How was that?
Yeah, and it's a brilliant response. So Celtic have gone right back in the ascendancy. Allegedly, at this moment in time, the chorus is ringing around Ibrox about all sorts of, top of the league and we shall not be moved. I think that lasted about 30 seconds before Jota's dealt with that one. It's ricocheted about. Jota's tried to work his way across the box. It's broke to Ralston, who's headed it back into a danger area. I think at that time, Abada was in an offside position, but Abada's not the guy in play. And from Jota's point of view, he's got the head over it, volleyed it into the ground, and it's spun in nicely. So he's got a job to do. He's got to get on with it. The Aberdeen players seemed incensed. They took a fair bit of time to get back up the park and restart. So again, you've got the benefit of the TV pictures and what happened there. But I think Jota's on, and I think it's fine.
Abada might also be on. It's so tight.
Right.
Abada himself might be on. So even the guy that they're saying was active when he was inactive, he might have been onside himself. So it remains to be seen. But certainly it's nothing clear cut. And then if he was offside, he's inactive. And I think post goal, maybe a wee bit lack of focus from Aberdeen to be as entrenched in that rather than getting on with their game and trying to get back to it.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, the refs given the goal and they've got a job to do, try and drag their way back into it. So, yeah, some you'll get, some you won't. Sounds like the officials have made the right call, so they've got to get on with it.
Yeah. On officials, I suppose, the last half hour seemed to kind of swing to Colin giving a lot of soft fouls to Aberdeen. Was that the feeling up at the ground?
I think that's fair. Yeah, I think there was lots of wee niggly ones which would otherwise be let go, and they've gone more and
the same fouls we weren't getting up the other end of the park.
Yeah, wee free kicks here and there. There was a foul on the edge of the box by Carter Vickers. Not sure if it was or not. I think Ferguson curled it just over the bar. So there's a few wee ones in. It just felt like Colin was just giving niggly wee things which helped break up the play. There was one where Celtic didn't get an advantage. I think Greg Taylor got fouled and then tried to make the pass to Jota. If he was doing the advantage thing in Aberdeen's favour, he should have done it in Celtic's favour at that point. So a couple of things like that. So, don't want to kind of hark on too much about Willie Collin, but some stuff that was a bit unusual. One thing I need to reference, whether it's his job to deal with it or not, but the pitch invader, was that on the telly?
Joe Hart?
Aye, so this clown breaks out the Aberdeen section, makes a beeline for Joe Hart. He's cutting about in his trackies. He bombs right across, bypasses all the Aberdeen players, not interested in Bruni, not interested in Lewis Ferguson, goes straight for the opposition goalie, which is our Joe Hart, and promptly takes a selfie with him. Joe Hart, being the professional he is, puts his arm around the guy's shoulder and smiles for the camera and lets him jump back into the crowd. It was bizarre. And at that point, that was before it went to each. That was probably the busiest Joe Hart had been in the game up to that point. So a strange moment all round. And please don't ever change Scottish football. It was just ridiculous.
Yeah, not great for the concentration levels for Hart, but he's dealt with it anyway. So
yeah, ever the pro.
Nah, indeed. So 75 minutes, bringing the changes a wee bit, and a wee bit late for me. A wee bit late. The changes could have been earlier.
Definitely. I thought he should change it on the hour mark, which he usually does. I thought it was time to freshen up. Hatate, as he has done the last few games, was looking tired. I thought O'Reilly was looking a wee bit tired. I thought Maeda, as discussed, wasn't having a great game. The easy nod there at that time is, can we get Rogic on? Can we get Giacomakis, potentially Forrest, and my boy Mikey Johnson? And I think he waited too late. I think the changes were around about 75 and 89. Yeah, interesting, because Ange usually makes those changes. I'm not sure why he waited. Guys were on their feet.
It was strange for me. We definitely need a bit of fresh energy. And it was beat on for Hatate. It should be steadying things up. In the centre with McGregor going forward, and Giacomakis for Maeda. And I thought that was a good move to bring someone on, with no disrespect to Maeda, just somebody to hold the ball up and run channels and all that kind of stuff. He was Giacomakis is that guy for the last 15 minutes. So yeah. I think they had an effect as well.
Yeah, I thought they made sense. I mean, don't get me wrong, Beaton's first contribution was to put the ball out the park, which was nice and frustrating. I wonder as well if James McCarthy was a guy for that job, to go and break it up. I don't know. And he's made those calls and that's fine. Giacomakis ate up the clock a bit, got involved in the physical stuff, so no problem with the changes he made. But I just thought they could have been sooner, just for fresher legs.
Yeah. there's not an awful lot between those subs and the kind of final subs. It's all, a wee bit scrappy. And I think, as you referenced there on, Celtic were quite comfortably starting to close things out there. So it's 88 minutes, Forrest for Abada and Rogic for O'Reilly. And that just kind of let us consolidate and close things out.
Yeah, it's just run down the clock. Jota looked shattered as well. Great contribution to, decent goals, particularly the second one. But he looked tired and a bit leggy, particularly, when it came to the defensive side of that second half. I thought, as I'd mentioned, McCrory and Matt Kennedy were causing a bit of bother there. And I just thought he would have made the nod earlier. And I'm not sure why. Paddy was with us at the game there, and Paddy was saying, maybe he's just trying to keep others guys, fresh for the weekend and different things. But the priority is the game in hand, and you've got to just do all you can to make sure we go over that line. So got there eventually. It's all good now, and we're glad to get out with the 3 points. But I thought he would have made those changes sooner.
Yeah, it might be a chance on Sunday for Jota to watch the game on the telly and just take it easy.
Yeah, and I wonder. We've seen a bit of what Ange does. He didn't particularly weaken the team for Alloa. It was a fairly strong team that took to the park that night, and I wonder if he'll go maybe 85% strong again on Sunday. I'd like to see the likes of Julian get a start, maybe young Ben Doak. I'd be resting Jota, I'd maybe rest Callum McGregor again, maybe give Hatate a wee break. There's lots of guys that I think could do with a wee bit of time out, but I don't think Ange likes to weaken it too much. I think he believes there's plenty of time to rest at the end of the season, is what he said last week. So he'll want to find the balance between resting these guys and keeping guys up to speed for the Bodo game, Bodo Glimt, on Thursday.
Yeah, that is the trick, find the balance there. So as we start to wrap things up here, Tino, any final thoughts on the game today and, the context of that result?
The context being, I believe that we're now 20 games unbeaten in the league. So since that 1-0 defeat by Livingston, we've now had 17 wins and 3 draws. So the form's exceptional. And I think Celtic have found a real consistency. And to use Ange's word from the weekend, it's all about being relentless now. And I love to see that. What we do now is we win games. Ange's created a winning machine. Sometimes it's a breeze against Rangers or whatever. Sometimes it's a bit more of a slog like tonight. So there's different ways to win games of football. But I think Celtic, at this moment in time, are finding ways to win. And long may that continue.
Yeah, totally agree. So Celtic come through a tough test at Pittodrie and make it 20 league games unbeaten and 8 wins on the bounce. It remains to be seen just how important these 3 points will be in the Championship, but like Ange, we're just taking it one game at a time. Next up, we've got Wraith Rovers at home in the Scottish Cup on Sunday, and we'll be there for you with all the talking points post-match. Meantime, take care and thanks for listening.
Cheers, folks.